My brother pitted my 10-year-long unrequited love, so he drugged his best friend and delivered him to my bed. I was forced to become his remedy. When he awoke, Ethan Scott coldly agreed to marry me. Yet shortly after our wedding, he went abroad. My daughter and I waited 3 years before he finally returned. At the airport reunion, everything changed just because our daughter called out Daddy. Nora Davis, who had been holding his hand, couldn't accept such betrayal. With reddened eyes, she ran away only to be tragically struck by a drunk driver and died on the spot. From that day on, Ethan Scott's face never bore a smile again. He stopped traveling abroad, staying day and night by my and our daughter's side. I thought we had finally weathered the storm to see clear skies. Yet on our daughter's 3rd birthday, an accidental fire broke out at home. My first instinct was to save Ethan and our daughter. He locked the door with an indifferent expression, his eyes filled with icy hatred. If it weren't for you, how could Nora have died? Every day after her death, I've lived like a walking corpse. I've long wanted to drag you all down with her. Only when the raging fire engulfed my daughter and me did I realize how deeply Ethan hated us. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn, back to the day Ethan was drugged. Looking at his flushed face and dazed eyes as he lunged toward me, I pushed him away with all my strength and immediately called Nora. A pained gasp reached my ears, sending a shiver down my spine. Following the sound, I saw Ethan Scott, drugged and flushed, his black shirt unbuttoned haphazardly, clearly on the verge of losing control. Chloe, come here. He called out to me in a ragged voice, his gaze clouded and unfocused. In my past life, I would have rushed over in concern to check on him, but now I just backed away in terror several steps. That night in my past life was when both Ethan and I were drugged, leading to intimacy between us. Afterwards, he coldly agreed to marry me but remained abroad for years, indifferent to whether our daughter and I lived or died. Only later did I learn he went abroad to be with his beloved Nora. And the day he returned was merely to give Nora closure. Unexpectedly, my daughter called out Daddy, which shocked Nora so much that she ran out and was killed instantly in a car accident. Ethan blamed all of this on me and our daughter. The mistake hasn't been made yet. As long as I'm not the one who becomes his antidote tonight, my daughter and I won't face that tragic fate. With this in mind, I almost immediately dialed Nora's number without hesitation. Nora, come to Hotel 32, quickly. I shoved against the door with all my might, keeping the feverish Ethan confined inside. At the same time, my own body gradually began to grow hot. I remembered my previous life, how my brother, unable to bear seeing me suffer from unrequited love, had drugged his best friend Ethan and delivered him to my hotel room, saying, Chloe, both you and Ethan clearly have feelings for each other. It's maddening, so I decided to give you two a push, let Ethan become my brother-in-law sooner. I can't believe it, Sam, are you trying to kill me? Let me out. My brother just chuckled and pushed me into Ethan's arms. I drugged your drink too. Enjoy yourself, you'll thank me tomorrow. I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. But brother, the person Ethan likes isn't me at all. After waiting for over 10 minutes, Nora arrived in a fluster, her face deathly pale. She eyed me skeptically. Chloe, everyone in our circle knows you have a thing for Ethan. Since when were you this generous? Wasn't he supposed to be having dinner with your brother tonight? How could he have been drugged for no reason? Or is this another one of your schemes? Nora had suspected some trick, but when she saw that the person in the room was indeed Ethan, she frowned. As I ushered her in, I hastily explained, no time for details, Miss Davis. I know you and Ethan are smitten with each other. Surely you don't want some other woman taking advantage of him tonight. He needs you now. He's barely holding on. My brother got his hands on some medicine from who knows where, and it's insanely potent. In his past life, when Ethan still had some shred of sanity left, he bit through his tongue trying to maintain control, nearly crushing the bones in his own fingers. In the end, he still couldn't hold back. But now that Nora's here, surely he doesn't need to restrain himself anymore. A muffled groan suddenly came from the room. Ethan's veins bulged violently at his forehead and neck, startling Nora into frozen silence. Her face flushed as she straightened up and adjusted her clothes, glancing back at me. At least you know better than to take advantage of Ethan. Now that I'm here, you can give up. Wait, why is your face so red too? I quickly shook my head and urged her to hurry inside. The moment Ethan pulled down Nora's spaghetti strap, I closed my eyes and shut the door tightly. Soon, indescribable sounds emerged from within. Each sound was like a knife tearing at my chest, and I couldn't bear to listen any longer. Without looking back, I ran out of the hotel. The drug in my system began to take effect. Half the reason I couldn't push Ethan away in my past life was that it had robbed me completely of my senses. While I still had a shred of reason left, I stopped in front of an upscale club and stumbled inside. A young-looking attendant smiled and asked me, Miss, how may we assist you? I patted my groggy head. I need a male companion. He gave a slight start, led me into a private room, then went off to summon someone. After what felt like an eternity, the door swung open, and in walked a tall, well-built man dressed in an impeccable suit. His gaze landed on my torn and disheveled clothes, and he froze in stunned silence. Before he could speak, I hooked my arms around his neck and pressed my lips to his. "I've been drugged, help me." The man froze. He seemed to frown as he grabbed my wrists, trying to push me away. "You want money? Take as much as you want." I pulled a bank card from my pocket and shoved it into his hand, then began fumbling with his belt buckle. In my dazed state, I thought I heard the man call my name. "Chloe, don't do anything reckless. So noisy." I furrowed my brow and kissed his lips. Silence at last. No wonder the high-end clubs here are so popular. The male companions aren't just handsome, they also know how to play hard to get. Finally, I heard a sigh from above. "Since you took the initiative, don't you dare regret it." Next, the man rolled over and pinned me beneath him, pressing down with kisses like a storm. After a night of passion, dawn hadn't broken when I jolted awake. It took me several moments to realize I'd slept with a stranger, a male companion from the club. The man was still asleep as I quietly dressed and slipped away. Outside, passing the massive floor-to-ceiling windows of the commercial district, I noticed my clothes were torn. Worse yet, my neck was covered with vivid red marks too indecent to look at. Seizing the chance before my brother woke up, I hurried home to cover them with concealer. The moment I stepped inside, a detached voice came from above me. "Where were you last night?" Ethan folded his arms, leaning against the doorway as he stared at me. I froze. Wasn't he supposed to be with Nora at the hotel? A striking necklace of hickeys still adorned his neck, his gaze languid and indifferent. I lowered my head guiltily, thinking that after last night's incident, Ethan and I had drawn a clear line between us, and from now on I would only regard him as my brother's friend. I went out for a stroll. "How come you're back so soon?" Ethan's new villa was under renovation, and because of my brother's connection, he'd been staying at my place these past few months. I glanced around. "Where's Miss Nora? Didn't she come back with you?" The next second, Ethan's gloomy gaze fixed upon me. "Chloe, where the hell were you last night? Who did this?" Only then did I realize he was talking about the hickey on my neck. I instinctively pulled my collar up to cover it. "It's nothing, just a mosquito bite." Ethan let out a cold laugh. "Don't think I don't know. Your brother didn't just spike my drink last night. Yours was drugged too. So, after conspiring with your brother last night and failing to sleep with me, you went out and slept with another man? Chloe, did you think that by deliberately calling Nora over last night and disappearing all night, you could make me worry? You're playing hard to get all wrong." I was stunned. Why was Ethan so angry? Hadn't I already given him and Nora my blessing? Realization dawned, bringing a pang of bitterness. So he thought that last night's concession was just me playing hard to get with him. His indifferent and icy voice continued, "As you can see, I was with Nora last night, and I'll marry her. A word of advice, whatever tricks you're planning, I suggest you drop them." I lowered my eyes and chuckled lightly. "Okay, I'm sorry about what my brother did with the drugs, but I really don't like you anymore." Ethan looked up at me deeply, his brows furrowing tightly as if he couldn't bring himself to believe it. Everyone in our circle used to know I had a crush on Ethan, refusing to date anyone else for him, turning down countless blind dates, and cutting off all romantic possibilities just to keep my heart free for him alone. But now, I know I was wrong. I don't want to repeat my past life, watching my daughter born in hope only to die in despair. Ethan was about to speak when my brother's terrified scream suddenly came from behind. "Ah, what the hell? How is there an extra person in our house?" He rushed over, his finger trembling as he pointed at the room upstairs. "When did Nora stay over at our place?" Ethan closed the door solemnly and explained casually. "I brought her back last night. She'd been exhausted all evening and wasn't comfortable at the hotel, so I let her rest properly here." "What?" My brother gave him a complicated look, then turned to me. "You too, didn't, last night?" Finally, his suspicious gaze lingered on both our necks. I scrambled to escape. "Bro, I'm going to bed first." I quickly fled back to my room, and even after closing the door, I could faintly hear their voices drifting through. Probably my brother interrogating Ethan about what exactly happened. It was lunchtime, and my brother knocked on the door to call me out for a meal, but I didn't get up. "Bro, I'm not hungry yet. You guys go ahead." Soon after, Nora's light laughter came from outside. "Let me wake up Chloe." Actually, the reason Ethan and I hit it off so quickly last night was all thanks to Chloe. The door was gently knocked on again. "Chloe, it's Nora. Just do me a favor and come out for lunch together." Since childhood, my parents and elder brother taught me to be polite and treat guests with respect, so I had no choice but to steel myself and open the door. At the dinner table, Ethan remained silent but gently served Nora more food. Within just a few minutes, the plate in front of her became piled high like a small mountain. "Ethan, Chloe is still here." She was already feeling down about last night. Seeing this will only make her jealous again. Percent. Ethan looked up at me coldly. "Why would she be jealous? You're the one I'm going to marry." Like Sam, I only treat her as a sister. I remained silent, quietly eating the rice in my bowl, which tasted like chewing wax. My brother opened his mouth but hesitated to speak. sighing repeatedly instead. Nora had food crumbs at the corner of her mouth. Ethan reached out to wipe them away, but Nora stopped him with a laugh. Ethan, I want you to clean me up with your mouth. She leaned her face closer on her own initiative. Ethan froze for a moment, then smiled and kissed her. Nora turned to look at me smugly. Don't take it to heart, little Chloe. Ethan's been hooked ever since that night. You're still a single girl. You'll understand once you get a boyfriend yourself. The meal was utterly tasteless. I set down my utensils. I'm full. Take your time eating. Even someone as dense as my brother knew what was going on between them two. After dinner, he slapped his thigh in frustration. You idiot. How could you just hand such a perfect opportunity to that two-faced Nora last night? If Ethan can't see right through her schemes, shouldn't I at least recognize them? They were flaunting their affection at dinner today just to spite you. I've told you countless times that you and Ethan have feelings for each other. I cut him off. Bro, don't say things like that ever again. My brother looked at me in disbelief. I smiled and said, I don't like Ethan anymore. Brother, help arrange a blind date for me. True to form, my brother still dotes on me. After repeatedly confirming I wasn't joking, he finally let out a long sigh of relief. Good girl, you finally come around. I've been telling you not to cling to one tree when the whole forest is yours. Ethan may be an outstanding man, but there are plenty better fish in the sea. I'll contact Harrison family's Liam right away. That match you turned down before. Their business empire dwarfs the Scots, plus he's handsome and, just like you, has never been in a relationship. Who knows, you might hit it off at first sight. I obediently took out my phone and saved the contact info. I'd thought giving up on Ethan would be hard, but when I actually did it, I realized it wasn't such a big deal after all. This time, I could finally change the fate of me and my daughter. Ethan, could you bring my suitcase back to your room for me? Nora's voice came through with a hint of laughter. She then turned to look at me, calling out, Chloe. Ethan's villa isn't fully furnished yet. He wants to see me constantly, so I had no choice but to move in and stay with him for a few days. You don't mind, do you? I shook my head. Of course not. Watching Ethan bustling about carrying her luggage, I smiled wryly to myself. Thinking back to our previous life, after that one-night stand, Ethan, afraid of hurting Nora's feelings, sent her abroad under the pretense of further studies. After hastily concluding our wedding ceremony, he too ended up staying overseas permanently. I gave birth to my daughter Lily alone, waiting bitterly for his return, only to see him reappear at the airport holding Nora's hand. Back then, his gaze toward me was always icy and indifferent, unlike now, when it melts with warmth whenever it lands on Nora. As I turned away, I suddenly collided with something. Nora had flung a basin of water over herself, yet burst out with a startled cry. Nora! Ethan's expression instantly darkened as he rushed to shield her, casting a wary glance my way. Nora sobbed hysterically in his embrace. Chloe, if you didn't want me moving in, you could have just said so. This outfit was Ethan's gift to me, expensive and precious. Why did you deliberately bump into me and stain it? Flustered, I tried to explain. I didn't. It wasn't on purpose. Enough. Ethan cut in sharply. Chloe, I've told you to quit these games. If you can't accept Nora living here, we'll move out the day after tomorrow. Then he refused me even a chance to explain, scooping Nora up bridal style to go change her clothes. Nora hooked her arm around his neck and flashed me a triumphant smile. When Nora came out wearing my most treasured dress, my face turned ghostly pale. Ethan said with righteous indignation, since I gave you this dress, you've never worn it anyway. Might as well let Nora wear it first. I smiled bitterly. The reason I hadn't worn that dress was because I couldn't bear to. Over all these years, Ethan only gave me this one birthday present. And after he found out about my secret crush on him, he never gave me anything again, which is why I've treasured this dress like a priceless treasure. But now, I just nodded indifferently. Fine. I can't fit into it anymore anyway, was planning to get rid of it or give it away. In the following days, Nora clung to Ethan constantly, flaunting their affection as if deliberately putting on a show for me. The day Ethan got down on one knee to propose, I was so distracted that I got into a car accident. Though it wasn't serious, passers-by still took me to the hospital. They came to see me together, and little Nora's face crumpled as if she were about to cry. Ethan, did Chloe crash on purpose because she couldn't bear our engagement? It's all my fault. If I hadn't insisted you propose to me, Chloe wouldn't have gotten hurt. She blamed herself endlessly, and Ethan comforted her tenderly. It's not your fault, sweetheart. The milk tea I ordered for you is here. Go get it first. No sooner had Nora left than Ethan furrowed his brows and scolded me sharply. Chloe, do you have to make trouble on the day I proposed to Nora? Are you so desperate to break us up? I've told you before. Put away those thoughts of yours. There's no possibility between us. I smiled faintly. Brother Ethan, you've misunderstood. I only see you as my brother's friend. And you're overthinking it. My accident has nothing to do with you either. Ethan wasn't convinced. He spoke after a thoughtful pause. I'll be marrying Nora soon, Chloe. If you could be reasonable, you should find yourself a boyfriend and let go of these feelings for me. Nodding, I said, I already have a boyfriend. There's no need to lie when there isn't one. Ethan's dark gaze fixed on my face. For some inexplicable reason, a wave of irritation swept through him, leaving him momentarily breathless. But just then, Nora pushed the door open, bringing bubble tea with her. She handed me the tea with a smile, deliberately flashing the diamond ring on her ring finger. Chloe, don't waste your effort. No matter how much you stir up trouble, you'll only make Ethan despise you even more. See? I'm the only one in Ethan's heart. He put this diamond ring on my finger himself. Just give up already. As he was leaving, Ethan gave me a deep look. Even if you don't have a boyfriend, it's fine. You're Sam's little sister, which makes you my sister too. As long as you don't harbor any of those messy thoughts, I can take care of you for the rest of your life. Hearing this, Nora shot me a venomous look but pretended to be understanding. Of course, you can think of me as your own sister, Ethan, and I will take care of you. But I wasn't lying. I really do have a boyfriend. My gaze softly fell on the gardenias on the nightstand, a gift from my boyfriend, Liam Harrison. At first, I had only agreed to my brother's request to give blind dating a try, but when I arrived at the coffee shop, I realized Liam was actually the companion I'd spent that night with. My face burned when I saw him, but to my surprise, he knowingly pinned me against the wall with a soft chuckle. Flustered? Weren't you quite forward when we last met? I thought it was mortifying and wanted nothing more to do with him, but fate had other plans. I ended up being followed by hoodlums one night on my way home. Liam showed up and threw a few punches at the guy, then took me home. On the way, I asked him, weren't you my escort? He kept his eyes on the road while driving, raised an eyebrow, and said, who told you I was an escort? Clearly, you were so impatient that day, recklessly dragging any man you could find into intimacy. Thankfully, I was there to inspect the club, otherwise, goodness knows which man would have fallen prey to your advances. Furious, I punched him, only for him to catch my hand and tuck it against his chest. Chloe, I've liked you for a long time. Will you be my girlfriend? Even that car accident happened because I heard Liam was going to propose and momentarily lost focus, not watching the road, just a minor mishap. Every time I recall his face, a gentle joy surfaces in my heart. After being discharged from the hospital, I left early and returned late. By the time I got back, it was already past 11. Ethan stood at the door in casual clothes. His expression turned complicated. Chloe, have you been avoiding me on purpose lately? I froze for a moment before smiling. You're overthinking it. But Ethan blocked my path. His brows furrowed tightly as he grabbed my wrist. I hope I am overthinking. Nora and I are getting married soon. Better not play any of your little games. I pulled my hand free, my expression sincere. Congratulations on your wedding. Ethan's expression finally softened slightly, but when his eyes fell upon my neck, his face darkened again. Who left those marks on your neck? Don't tell me it's mosquito bites again? Liam insisted on leaving those marks during the day, claiming it was to stake his claim. I used to worry about causing misunderstandings, but now that I'm openly dating someone, there's no need to hide anything. None of your business. Ethan's expression darkened further. With that, I turned and walked away, unaware that Nora, hiding in the corner, had turned deathly pale, a flash of jealousy and resentment flickering in the corners of her eyes. Sweetheart, I'll take you somewhere nice. That day, I received a message from Liam and was about to leave happily for our date when I spotted Nora playing on my swing in the yard. Chloe, Ethan's voice called out, but I pretended not to hear him. Yet when I returned that evening, Ethan angrily kicked open my bedroom door in a rage. He slapped me across the face, his expression brimming with uncontrollable fury. Chloe, how could you be so vicious? Was it really necessary to tamper with the swing just because Nora played on it for a while? Is your jealousy so intense that you'd harm her? She's in the hospital now. Are you happy? What swing? I was dazed from his slap, my phone still glowing with the daytime photo of Liam and me that caught Ethan's eye. His face darkened further as he glanced at it. He hurled my phone to the ground, shattering it into pieces. At a time like this, do you seriously think showing me this fake photo will fool me? Chloe, with acting skills as superb as yours, do you really believe finding some random boyfriend to put on an act will clear you of the suspicion of harming Nora? Keep dreaming. He ignored my explanations and dragged me straight to the backyard to see the swing. The swing's ropes were severed. Nora insisted I had deliberately sawed them off. Ethan, I dare not stay at Chloe's place anymore. I knew she had a crush on you, and I thought she had truly given up, but I never expected her to be waiting for me here. Does she think that if I fall to my death, she can rightfully marry you, and the bride at the wedding will suddenly become her? Woo-woo, I give up. Chloe is so cunning, I can't compete with her. I'll give you up, okay? I'll move out as soon as I'm discharged. Nora wept as if she were the aggrieved party, her heart utterly shattered. Fury burned in Ethan's eyes. Move out? I'll have someone move her out right now. Chloe, I gave you chances, but you kept pushing my limits, hurting Nora like this. People must pay for the mistakes they've made. Ethan gave a signal, and suddenly over a dozen bodyguards appeared behind him. When they surrounded me, I knew something bad was coming. What are you going to do to me? I told you, I didn't cut the swing's rope. Ethan grew even angrier, his face twisted into a sneer. There are only you and your brother in this house. Sam would never do such a thing. If you didn't cut the rope, does that mean Nora cut it herself to harm herself? I suddenly looked up. That actually seemed possible. After all, the incident where she pretended to be weak after splashing water wasn't the first occurrence of such behavior. Ethan, I have no reason to do this. Before I could finish speaking, Nora continued sobbing. Last time, Sister Chloe said that if she couldn't marry you, she wouldn't let me marry you smoothly either. At the time, I thought she was just venting frustration, but I never imagined she actually wanted to kill me. Ethan's face was icy cold. Without giving me a chance to react, he had his bodyguards tie me up. I won't bully you, but Chloe, I want you to taste the pain Nora suffered. She was hurt when she fell from the swing, so I'm going to recreate that scene for you and let you feel the same pain. They roughly dragged me up to the second-floor balcony. There's no swing here, so we'll just throw you off the second floor. You won't die from the fall anyway, and there are doctors ready to save your life at any moment. Throw her down. With Ethan's command, the bodyguards immediately grabbed me, lifting me up as easily as if I were a chick. Stop. Stop now. Two distinct voices overlapped in urgent protest. Turning my head in delighted surprise, I saw Liam and my brother Sam rushing toward us. My brother rushed over with a face as dark as thunder, roaring at him. Ethan Scott, if you dare lay a finger on Chloe again, we're no longer friends. Liam looked at me with pity in his eyes, but he remained calmer than my brother. Mr. Scott, no matter what Chloe might have done wrong, you should have talked it out properly. Having your bodyguards do this constitutes intentional assault. Chloe? Ethan chewed on the name repeatedly, his gaze growing even colder as he raised his eyes. Mr. Harrison, I must say, I didn't expect to see you here. To what do we owe this unexpected visit? Chloe has done wrong, and as her brother's friend, it's my duty to teach her a proper lesson. Even with the Harrison group backing you, I advise you not to meddle in matters that don't concern you. Bullshit, my brother snapped angrily. Who the hell do you think you are, Ethan Scott? I'm her brother, standing right here. Even if Chloe has done something wrong, it's my place to discipline her, certainly not some outsider like you. You know how much I care for my sister, she used to like you, and I did everything to bring you two together, but now you're nothing to her. Don't you dare lay a finger on her. Besides, both her boyfriend and I are here right now. Even if Chloe murdered someone today, it's the law that'll judge her, not you. My brother is notoriously known in our circle as a sister-spoiling maniac. Back when I had a secret crush, he threw all caution to the wind and even drugged both Ethan and me just to make us a couple. He simply couldn't bear to see me suffer the slightest grievance. Ethan knew this perfectly well. He frowned coldly. Sam, it's Chloe who had ill intentions toward Nora. She cut the swing's rope. If I hadn't noticed in time and caught her, Nora would probably be dead by now. Do you still think this is a trivial matter? Ethan Scott, I thought you were just stupid, but I never imagined you could be this stupid. I always knew you'd lose your mind the moment you saw Nora, but to think you could be this unbelievably stupid. My brother's words left Ethan stunned. What do you mean? My brother scoffed, pulling out his phone and playing a video. This is the surveillance footage from my backyard. Nora clearly cut the swing's rope herself, yet she still tries to play this blame-shifting game. Did it never occur to her to get rid of the footage? Ethan was staring intently at the replay of the surveillance footage on my brother's phone. Sure enough, I saw Nora sneaking out late at night, tampering with the ropes of the swing, and then pretending to greet me the next day. But that day I was too busy going on a date to bother with them. Nora still pulled this stunt and then framed me. Ethan's face instantly turned pale and ugly. When he confronted Nora, she was still pretending. Ethan, it hurts so much. The doctor said I broke 2 leg bones. You know how they say a bone injury takes 100 days to heal? I'm afraid I won't be able to take care of myself for quite some time. You deserved it. Ethan's voice was ice cold as he threw the video footage at her. This is what you brought upon yourself. Nora, I thought you were pure and kind-hearted. Why on earth would you tamper with the swing? And why frame Chloe for all of this on purpose? Nora's face alternated between shades of green and white. She'd never imagined, despite having blocked the surveillance camera at the entrance, who could have guessed there was still a hidden pinhole camera? The evidence is now glaringly obvious before her eyes. She can no longer brazenly frame me with a clear conscience. Yet she still managed to squeeze out a few tears. Ethan, I did all this for you. You clearly love me. You promised to marry me. So why does your gaze keep drifting to Chloe? Is it just because she's younger? Or is it because she doesn't love you anymore, making the unattainable seem like the best prize? You know how much I adore you. That's why that night, I risked my virtue and reputation to become your cure. But you never gave me enough reassurance. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been so jealous of Chloe. Shut up, Ethan shouted at her for the first time. Both of them froze. Ethan irritably pinched the bridge of his nose, unsure what had come over him. His first priority after being reborn was supposed to be cutting ties with Chloe and properly cherishing Nora. Everything was going exactly as planned. So why did he feel this inexplicable ache in his chest? It felt as if something had been ripped from her heart, leaving behind a hollow void, the dread of losing something irreplaceable. Nora, you're being too reckless. Let's cancel the wedding for now. We both need time to cool off. Without waiting for Nora's response, Ethan turned and walked away. Ethan, I'm pregnant. Ethan's steps froze mid-stride. What did you say? Nora seemed to have thrown caution to the wind, letting out a cold laugh. You promised to take responsibility, Ethan Scott. I'm pregnant, with your child from that night. Liam had accompanied me out for a walk, and we returned to the ward just in time to hear those words. I, too, froze for a moment. Yes, in my previous life, it was around this time that I got pregnant. But when Ethan heard the news, he showed no reaction at all and still resolutely went abroad. I gave birth to our daughter, Lily, all by myself, and I raised her through all the hardships life threw at us. She was raised as delicately as a flower. She asked for nothing but to see her father, never imagining that calling out daddy just once would cost her life. Chloe, what are you thinking about? Try the durian milk crepe I brought you while it's still warm. Liam's voice pulled me out of my memories. I shook my head, banishing those unwelcome thoughts from my mind. Then I took the neatly sliced durian milk crepe from his hands. It's so delicious. How did you know I love this flavor? Liam lovingly tapped my nose and said, Little glutton, how could I not know what you like? Your brother is actually my strategist. He's long been on my side. As long as it makes you happy, he tells me all the intel. I couldn't help but burst out laughing. Honestly, the mental image of the two of them putting their heads together to figure out how to please me must have been hilariously absurd. Don't move. Liam suddenly stopped me. There's some at the corner of your mouth. Suddenly, he lifted the corner of his lips and leaned in suggestively. What are you doing? You're enjoying it so much. Let me taste it too. With that, Liam chuckled softly and kissed me. His kiss was gentle and utterly intoxicating. The durian milfy in her hand no longer tasted delicious. Through the glass window, Ethan caught this glaring and heart-wrenching scene. In his memory, Chloe had been chasing after him ever since her teenage years, calling him Brother Ethan this and Brother Ethan that. As she grew older, her cheeks would flush every time she saw him. She refused to call him brother anymore, always addressing him by his full name instead. He already knew the little girl's feelings back then. She had a crush on him for a full 10 years. At first, he only saw her as a child, but gradually, his feelings began to waver too. Even her brother Sam could see his intentions. If not for what happened that night, if not for that despicable act of drugging him, perhaps he would have considered dating Chloe and seeing where it led. Karina's death made him utterly despise Chloe. After being reborn, all he wanted was to make amends to Karina. But he never expected Chloe to seem like a completely different person too. She completely withdrew all those feelings she once had for him, and what's more, she became so intimate with another man so quickly. Watching her tenderly kiss another man, Ethan felt a surge of jealousy so sour it turned bitter in his heart. His fists clenched so tightly that veins bulged in his neck. Could it be that this time, his Chloe had truly given up on him? On the day I was discharged from the hospital, Liam personally drove me home. My brother warmly invited him to stay for dinner, but Liam declined with a smile. As he left, he ruffled my hair and said, There's no rush. I'm busy preparing my proposal, and once we become family, we'll have plenty of chances to dine together. On every single day Liam couldn't see me, he'd send me a gift. Sometimes it was bracelets, necklaces, or watches. Sometimes flowers, roses or gardenias. He always knew how to make me smile. Ever since I was discharged from the hospital, Ethan and Nora had tactfully moved out. Even if they hadn't moved out, given my quick-tempered brother's personality, he would have had the butler pack up their belongings and thrown them out long ago. An idiot like Ethan Scott will never be my friend again. Anyone who dares bully my little sister is my sworn enemy. I thought he was just joking, but who knew he'd immediately blocked Ethan the next moment. My relationship with Liam is progressing smoothly. Not long ago, he specifically took me home to meet his parents, and Mr. and Mrs. Harrison really liked me too. They decided I would be their future daughter-in-law after just one meeting. With the wedding date approaching, I count the days on the calendar every day, looking forward to Liam making me his wife. I thought I would never cross paths with Ethan again, but unexpectedly, I saw him once more. That evening, I went out for a stroll and on my way back, Ethan, reeking of alcohol, intercepted me on the path home. He flung the dozen or so printed photos in my face. Each of these is an intimate moment between Liam and me. He fed me with his own hands, carried me out of the hospital, then pressed me against the wall and kissed me shamelessly as if no one else existed. Ethan's expression darkened further as he watched the scene unfold. Chloe, have you no shame, pulling another man in broad daylight? No wonder you haven't been clinging to me lately, you've set your sights elsewhere. What, is it because Harrison is younger and richer than me, so you're throwing yourself at him? His words grew increasingly offensive. I couldn't take it anymore and slapped him across the face. Ethan Scott, do you really think so little of me? Liam Harrison is my boyfriend. May I ask, what's wrong with being close to my own boyfriend? Is there a problem? And besides, we're about to get married. Aren't you and your fiancé also heading towards marriage? We're both about to be married, so what's the point of you meddling in my affairs? The light in Ethan's eyes dimmed inch by inch, finally coalescing into a thick shadow of sorrow. He reeked of alcohol, his voice pleading almost desperately. Chloe, how could you be with someone else? How could you marry another? Have you forgotten about our daughter Lily? In your past life, you shamelessly seduced me, had your brother drug me, and fought tooth and nail to marry me and bear my children. You were madly in love with me. How could you shift your focus so quickly now? I froze, so he had been reborn too. You're free to marry someone else, why shouldn't I? The next second, I fiercely shook off his hand. Since you remember everything, there's even less reason to ask me. The person you love is Nora. In our past life, I didn't know and accidentally came between you two, but this time, I'll step aside for you. And what's more, we won't have a daughter again. Lastly, I wish you and Nora a lifetime of happiness together. After saying these words, I turned and walked away without the slightest hesitation. If this had happened in the past, perhaps I would have suppressed my feelings, pretending to be strong while being utterly unable to let go. But now I only feel carefree and light, realizing how liberating it truly is to let go. I never expected that my wedding date with Liam would end up being scheduled on the same day as Ethan's. Because Nora was pregnant, he had no choice but to honor the marriage agreement as planned. Yet when he appeared at the wedding ceremony, reeking of alcohol, he could only watch from a distance as Nora walked toward him in her wedding gown. For some reason, the image of Chloe marrying him in a wedding dress from his previous life suddenly flashed before his eyes. Ethan, he heard Chloe call his name and looked up in pleasant surprise. But when he focused his gaze, the bride in the wedding dress before him had transformed into the familiar Nora. She smiled and asked, "What's wrong? Didn't sleep well last night? This is the wedding we've always dreamed of. You've got to perk up. I won't allow even the slightest imperfection in our wedding." Ethan listened irritably, finding everything utterly tedious. Suddenly it dawned on him. Why had his life come to this point? Entirely because of an obsession from his past life that had gone unfulfilled. Out of guilt, he thought he should compensate Nora. Yet he'd forgotten that after that great fire in his past life, he had long since allowed Chloe into his heart. No, I have to find Chloe. I have to tell her. The MC was still officiating the wedding when Ethan suddenly let go of Nora and ran out. On his way out, he even knocked over a bouquet by the roadside. Nora turned pale. "Ethan Scott, do you realize what you're doing? You can't just leave me here." But there was no response. With the groom vanishing without a trace, the wedding guests immediately began whispering and pointing among themselves. Rumors say the groom was forced into this marriage. Could it actually be true? Look at how awful the bride looks. Everyone says it's a shotgun wedding. Apparently, she drugged Ethan to get him in the first place. Who'd have thought the groom would actually dare to run? Nora was furious. She simply couldn't accept being abandoned at the altar by the groom. Clutching her wedding dress, she chased after him, but never expected to encounter an out-of-control drunk driver's car, which sent me flying upon impact. Nora lay in a pool of blood, watching helplessly as Ethan closed the car door and drove away from the scene without a second glance. "Chloe, don't marry him," burst out Ethan as he crashed in just as Liam and I were exchanging rings. His sudden outburst instantly drew all eyes in the room. Pale-faced, Ethan stared at me in my wedding dress marrying another man, tears finally falling as he knelt before me. Step by step, he begged me to take him back. "Chloe, I was wrong before. I was blind and misread my own heart. You're the one I've always loved. Give me another chance, please. I still want to watch you marry me, to see our daughter being born. This time, I won't go abroad anymore. I'll stay with you and our daughter." Before I could speak, my brother suddenly stood up. "That man's a lunatic. Security, what are you standing around for? Throw him out." The security guards promptly threw Ethan out, and the wedding proceeded smoothly. I cast a grateful glance at my brother as the ceremony concluded successfully. Yet some guests still recognized him. That was Ethan Scott. Unfortunately, his unexpected appearance at the wedding provoked the Harrisons' displeasure. To protect my reputation, my parents-in-law took direct action and bankrupted the Scott family. 3 months later, I saw Ethan for the last time. He had lost everything, as disheveled as a homeless man on the street, no longer even having a home to return to. Stripped of the adornments of wealth and power, Ethan no longer retained any trace of his former handsomeness. Instead, he resembled a grimy, homeless vagrant. "Darling, get in the car. I bought you and the baby your favorite durian milk crepe." Liam proactively opened the car door, carefully assisting my pregnant self into the vehicle. I withdrew my gaze and smiled, planting a kiss on his cheek. "Thank you, dear." By the time I looked again, Ethan's figure had already vanished. Perhaps our fate has finally come to a complete end. This is for the best. Finished.